Boeing ended production of its iconic 747 at the beginning of 2023. While this marked the end of a significant chapter in aviation history, the aircraft type continues to fly for many carriers around the world. Sadly, it was the pandemic that really impacted 747 fleets, as commercial passenger airlines used the global health crisis as an opportunity to retire their aging jumbo jet fleets. But it's late 2025 now, and according to aircraft data websites, there are still over 300 still active these days. Fewer and fewer of these quadjets are for passengers and are instead used to transport freight. However, there are still some airlines out there that use the jet to move us humans across the globe. Let's take a look at the current state of the 747. And so, according to data from planespotters.net, as of mid to late September, there are about 334 Boeing 747 airframes listed as active around the world. This figure is a little bit misleading. On one hand, some of these may be considered active but could be slated for retirement soon. But more importantly, there are some 46 airframes listed as parked that may just return to service one day. Indeed, parked 747s on PlaneSpotter's long list include 747-8Fs operated by Silkway West, Atlas Air and UPS. There are also the 4 ex-Korean Air 747-8s slated to become the next doomsday jets for the US Air Force. These are being modified by Sierra Nevada Corporation and will definitely return to service one day. And then, of course, we have the 2 747-8s originally ordered by Transaero and are slated to be the next VC-25Bs, the new presidential aircraft often referred to as Air Force One. And so, if we combine those listed as active and those listed as parked, we have closer to 400 Boeing 747s that are functional or will eventually be functional. So in terms of passenger airlines still operating the type, that number has fallen dramatically in the last decade. Big 747 operators like British Airways, KLM, Qantas and Air France have phased out the type. In the United States, Delta said goodbye to its last 747 in late 2017, while Star Alliance carrier United said goodbye to its last jumbo jet a few weeks prior. So, for those wanting to fly on a jumbo jet, what are the options remaining? Well, Lufthansa is by far the largest operator with 27 examples still flying, 19 747-8s and 8 747-400s. It may not be Lufthansa's ideal choice to continue operating its 747s, particularly its older 747-400s. That's because the airline faces the same challenge as many global carriers: strong demand for long-haul travel combined with delivery delays from both Boeing and Airbus. The German carrier is currently awaiting deliveries of dozens of newer generation long-haul wide-bodies including Dreamliners, 777Xs and A350s. But both Airbus and Boeing are facing supply chain delays, which have left Lufthansa dependent on its existing wide-bodies to cover capacity needs. The 747 helps bridge that gap, and the airline is expected to keep the 747-8s in service well into the 2030s. Korean Air made the same choice and continues to fly 16 747s, although not all are for passengers. The carrier has 5 747-8Is, 4 747-400ERFs, and 7 747-8Fs. Obviously, only the -8I aircraft are for passengers. Air China has 9 747s in its fleet, 2 are -400s with passenger configurations, while there are 5 -8I passenger jumbo jets. The other 2 are set up in a VIP configuration. Russian airline Rossiya's case is very different. The carrier had already retired its 747s, but sanctions imposed after the invasion of Ukraine forced a rethink. Dozens of the airline's aircraft were seized or cut off from Western support, so it reactivated 2 747-400s in 2024. These had originally been part of Transaero's fleet before that airline collapsed in 2015, later passing to Aeroflot and then Rossiya. As it relates to this specific moment in time, September 2025, Cirium data notes that more than 1,500 commercial flights are scheduled to operate with the Boeing 747 across the -400 and -8 variants. Lufthansa, of course, accounts for the majority of those services, with over 1,000 flights on its own. The German flag carrier deploys the Jumbo on a wide network, including daily departures to the following cities: Toronto, Vancouver, Miami, Singapore, San Francisco, Chicago, Mexico City, Los Angeles, Johannesburg, Washington Dulles, Houston, New York JFK, Sao Paulo, Bengaluru, Newark, Buenos Aires, and Tokyo Haneda. Korean Air has scheduled about 150 passenger flights using the 747. The aircraft remains a fixture on its Seoul Incheon Los Angeles route, with 42 flights planned for this month. The airline also continues to deploy the type on long-haul services to Europe, including 13 flights to London Heathrow. Meanwhile, Air China has more than 300 flights scheduled with the 747 for September 2025. Most are concentrated on high-density domestic sectors such as Beijing-Guangzhou, 46 frequencies, Beijing-Shanghai, 38 frequencies, and Beijing-Shenzhen, 36 frequencies. The type also continues to feature on select long-haul routes, with 22 flights to New York JFK and 9 to Washington Dulles from Beijing. Apart from passenger operations, cargo carriers continue to rely heavily on the 747. According to Cirium data, freighter operators have scheduled more than 9,600 flights with the type for the month alone. For these airlines, the Jumbo remains central to moving high volumes of goods, outsized shipments, and long-haul freight where few other aircraft can compete. Airlines such as Cargo Lux, Nippon Cargo Airlines, Cathay Pacific, and UPS invested heavily in the newer 747-8F, and more than 100 remain in active service today. Atlas Air is one of the largest 747 operators these days. The firm has 48 -400s and 17 -8s. All of the -8s are freighters, but 5 of its -400s are set up for passengers. With Atlas being a charter airline, these 747s may be used to transport large sports teams or fulfill military transport contracts. UPS currently has a fleet of 43 747s, 13 -400 freighters, and 30 -8 freighters. Fellow American freight carrier Kalita Air has a fleet of 22 -400 freighters. Kalita has retired 8 over the years and actually removed 2 from its fleet in early 2024. In Europe, Cargo Lux has 29 jumbo jets listed in its fleet. All freighters, there are 15 -400s and 14 -8s. Over in Hong Kong, Cathay Pacific appears to have 20 747s still in its fleet. All 6 of its -400s and all 14 of its -8s are freighters. Nippon Cargo Airlines has 8 -8s, again, all freighters. And then, of course, there are plenty of 747s still active as VIP transports with governments around the world, including, of course, the United States. And so, more than 5 decades since its debut, the 747 is still a familiar sight in global skies, even if it's less prominent than it used to be. At its launch, it gave airlines the capacity they urgently needed to connect international hubs and marked the beginning of a new era of long-distance travel. Yet, the very features that defined it, its size and 4 engines, also became drawbacks amid improvements in engine reliability and the ability to operate long-haul with half the number of power plants. So, what are your thoughts on the Boeing 747 in 2025? In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles and a podcast every week. Visit simpleflying.com.